Tonight, News Channel 5 investigates another cozy deal between Metro Schools and one of its contractors.
In this case, schools director Dr. Sean Joseph and his team put a Maryland company on the inside track to get millions of your dollars with no real competition.
Our chief investigative reporter Phil Williams has another News Channel 5 Investigates exclusive. Phil.
We're continuing to follow all the leads on this story. In this case, we're talking about a massive contract involving the district's STEAM efforts, what used to be called STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, with an arts twist now mixed in. It was a big plan involving big bucks.
Middle school is a pivotal time in
This video is designed to tout a major push to bring science and technology education to Nashville's middle schools.
The move to partner with Discovery Education was a game changer.
A push fueled by a massive $11.4 million contract with Discovery Education. The company began courting Dr. Sean Joseph less than 3 months after he was chosen as Nashville's director of schools, when his calendar shows he was hosting the company in his office.
To walk into a meeting, a couple months or 3 months after they've been on the job, to hear of this massive STEM implementation plan that was going to happen with Discovery Education was a huge shock to me.
Chris Elliott headed the district's highly acclaimed STEM efforts incorporating science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Emails showed that in early November 2016, Discovery was back in the director's office ready to make a formal presentation. Elliott says Joseph's team appeared to have a cozy relationship with the vendor.
I mean, it certainly were. These were folks that knew each other pretty well.
Was there hugging?
I think there might have been a couple hugs, yeah. It really was a meeting, I think, for us to understand that this is what the district was going to do and we were to implement it.
A week later, Discovery delivered its formal STEAM Transformation Partnership Plan for Metro Schools. In early December, Joseph and his chief academic officer, Monique Felder, traveled to a conference in Vancouver where Discovery was also present. Just days later, company representatives were back in Nashville to present the plan to the district's principals.
Principals went back to their buildings very excited, started thinking about how they could really customize this plan for their school, and we were moving forward 110%.
But then around Christmas, the email showed that plan ran into a roadblock. That's when purchasing officials told Joseph's team they would need to put out a request for proposals, what's called an RFP, to give other companies a chance to compete.
The impact it's had on our students, it's amazing.
That invitation to bid mirrored much of what Discovery had already proposed, requiring the use of digital instructional materials, intensive professional development for teachers, and a detailed plan for community engagement.
Essentially, those were all key components in the Discovery plan. And so when you put that RFP out, essentially Discovery already had that plan ready.
The request for proposals was issued on January 26, and competitors were given just 3 weeks to come up with a plan that Discovery had spent months developing. That deadline was later extended by a week.
You had this Discovery plan that was thoroughly reviewed, understood. It was in front of principals. It was in front of teachers. So even though you run a legitimate RFP process, it certainly influenced what the RFP looked like, what the plan was, what our expectations were, and so it certainly gave them an advantage.
3 days after the RFP was issued, Felder and a group from Metro Schools flew to Florida for a national STEM symposium hosted by Discovery. A follow-up email by Felder thanked Discovery for an awesome STEMposium. She concluded, "We're ready to make MNPS STEAM-tastic." Do you think that reflects certain assumptions?
Perhaps. I mean, I remember reading that email and I kind of cringed.
And when the bids came in, Discovery had a proposed price tag of $12.1 million. A smaller company, Interactive Media, came in at $2.8 million. But the district decided that company wasn't a serious bidder.
When they came and gave their presentation, it just really showed they weren't well equipped to deliver on such a large scale.
Discovery got the contract with no real competition for what finally turned out to be $11.4 million. Elliott says his biggest fault with Joseph and his team was the mindset that the district's middle school issues could only be solved by an expensive contract with an outside vendor.
So it was a shame that we weren't allowed the time and space to talk about ways to make this sort of improvement process, that it was just automatic. It was a vendor and they were going to solve all of MNPS's problems.
Metro Schools was forced to dramatically cut the Discovery contract last year after the mayor and Metro Council refused to fully fund Dr. Joseph's budget. Tonight, the district says, quote, it makes no apologies about its dealings with the company, insisting it followed the letter of the law and how it awarded the contract. You can see the full statement at NewsChannel5.com. Carrie?
Phil, thank you. Meanwhile, the Metro School Board continues battling behind the scenes on the next steps. One of Dr. Joseph's supporters, Will Pinkston, wants to pull the plug on finishing the director's mid-year evaluation and discussing his future. But other members are pushing back. Jeannie Pupo-Walker emailed Pinkston over the weekend saying, I think the district and our city deserve to hear from us about where we think we are doing well, where we need to adjust, and to hear from Dr. Joseph and his team. Pinkston snapped back. If you and others need a platform to bloviate over results that already have been extensively aired publicly, then by all means schedule a meeting and knock yourselves out.